It's time to review Jurassic World Dominion, and oh boy, I think a lot of people are going to be annoyed with me, but I want to preface this by saying just because a movie is bad doesn't mean it's not entertaining. For example, Jurassic Park 3, movie was strange, but I found it very entertaining. I really liked it. And just because a movie is entertaining or good or whatever doesn't mean that it's going to be received well by the general people. So going into this is my honest opinion. I am a fan of the franchise. Maybe, I guess, compared to some, I'm not a super hardcore fan because how dare I say anything critical about it. Apparently, to be a true 100% fan, you can't say anything critical about it whatsoever. So going in, I will say just watch the movie yourselves before you come to this review and make up your own minds. This is my personal opinion. I'm not attacking anybody who liked it or who didn't like it. Please bear that in mind before you guys start raising your pitchforks. So I finally watched Jurassic World Dominion, and I'm going to be giving my honest opinion on it as someone who loves dinosaurs and loved the original movie and loves the franchise, really. Yeah, so we're gonna break this video down into a few segments. I'm first gonna get into the technical side of things, the pacing, story, dialogue, characters, and entertainment factor. So firstly, the pacing. The pacing was very odd. Very odd in this movie. At times, it felt like it was too slow, and when we did get those interesting action scenes, it was really fast, and there was so much going on, and that part was entertaining. However, it started to veer away from being more of a dinosaur movie and felt more like a Mission Impossible movie or some kind of adventure movie. It didn't really feel like Jurassic Park anymore. The story, it just felt like this movie was trying to cram so much into itself at once. There were so many different stories here. You could have made 4 movies out of the stories. But of course, they're ending the franchise, and maybe honestly, as someone who loves the franchise, that is honestly for the best. The dialogue between the characters, I don't know what was going on, but it felt very weak at times. They brought some of the old characters back, and while I did like those old characters, the dialogue between them felt very forced. Whereas in the first movie, and even in the third movie and the second movie, they felt more like human beings. Now they just feel like caricatures of themselves. The way that things were established between the characters that they brought back, even though I was excited initially that the characters were coming back, I kind of felt like they probably shouldn't have brought them back because they didn't really feel like they belong there. I think they just brought them back to close out certain things, and they felt very forced being in the movie. I did not expect that to happen. Honestly, I didn't expect anything. I went into this movie with almost no expectations because I figured, okay, Fallen Kingdom was a hot mess. It was enjoyable at times, but it was a hot mess. Surely they're gonna do better with this. But I stopped watching the TV spots because I realized that they have a bad habit, these movie studios nowadays, of just showing you the entire movie, so there's nothing left to expect. You feel like all the surprises that you would get in this movie, you're just robbed of them watching the TV spots. Like, they literally give you away the entire movie. What is the point in even paying a ticket for the movie when you could just watch it piecing the TV spots together? And I will tell you this, looking back at the TV spots, they basically gave the whole movie away. You can watch like 89% of this movie in the TV spots. The rest of it's just filler, to be honest, and maybe just things that people say. The entertainment factor, I will say there are 2 sections out of this movie that I absolutely loved. There's a really big action sequence that actually had me holding on to my chair a little bit, but that was robbed because the character in question that was in the middle of the action sequence, you knew nothing was going to happen to that character, so it's like, okay, I mean, but it was still done in a way that felt very fast-paced and like, oh my gosh, this is happening. But, and there's a motivation behind it too, even though they rinsed and repeated a lot of the things, but the action sequence for that was very good. And then there's another horror sequence that I felt like should have been its own movie. It should have been its own movie, and they ruined it near the end of the movie. But anyway, let's try to find things I like about this. The addition of new dinosaurs. But then it's like every pro that I have, there's a con attached to it. Because while they do introduce new dinosaurs, and some of the dinosaurs, one in particular, they introduce this dinosaur in such a way where you're like, oh my god, I want to see more about this dinosaur. But then later on, the dinosaur appears, and it's just a cheesy version of what could have been a wonderful horror segment. And there's another dinosaur, one of my favorites that they introduce. It's just like, he just leaves. sense after a while. It's like, okay, this thing just comes out of nowhere and everything is attacking people and wanting to kill them, and it doesn't make any sense. At least in Jurassic Park 3, when they saw dinosaurs, there was always this lull. There's certain dinosaurs that just won't attack them, but everything is attacking them. Every single thing except for the sauropods. As far as entertainment goes, I will say Kayla, this new character, and Ian Malcolm essentially carry the movie. This woman's character is, I feel like the movie should have been about her, to be honest. I didn't want to see Chris Pratt anymore. Of course, we have to finish off the story with them and Blue and all of that. But honestly, like, her character and the whole underground thing that happened, she is such, I don't know, it's just something about her that I like. I like her sassiness, her badassery, but she gets terrified as well. But she has this hint of sarcasm to her that really makes me like her. I feel like she's a female character, strong female character, done the correct way. She has this Tomb Raider essence about her, and she's freaking gorgeous. Like, why did they just make the movie about her? Oh my god. Ian Malcolm, of course, also is, his comedic timing is so good. It doesn't even feel like he's trying to be funny. He's just being himself, and it works so well for the situations. But when everybody else is cracking jokes, it just feels weird, and thank goodness they do dial down the joke cracking a little bit here, but there's so much going on. The dinosaurs are beautiful. One thing I will say is I always love the Jurassic Park models. There are a lot of new dinosaurs that are introduced that look more accurate, and accuracy is not really something I necessarily care about in the Jurassic Park franchise, because to be fair, it did start off with them not looking totally accurate, and that was explained away in Jurassic World, but the models are very beautiful, with the exception of the Dilophosaurus. The Dilophosaurus makes a reappearance, and for some reason, it looks disgusting. It looks a far cry away from what it looked like before. It looks like one of those toys that you get when you visit a zoo, and it's a puppet that you can wear, and it looks kind of like the real animal, but you can tell it's not because it has those teddy bear, Build-A-Bear eyes. I don't know why they changed the model for the Dilophosaurus. They should have kept the original model. When you look at the original movie and the design for the Dilophosaurus, it looked a lot more scary than it did in that latest movie, and the animatronic was done a little bit better. Dare I say it, in the older Jurassic Park movies, the animatronics are also done a lot better than they are in this new movie. Just take a look at the scene from Jurassic Park 1 with Dennis Nedry and the Dilophosaurus. Do you see how well that was done? Let me tell you something. In this movie, the Dilophosaurus, I don't even feel like they're the same dinosaur. Do you see the difference? This is still shot at night and somehow looks 100 times worse than the original design. We're supposed to be making things better. And I thought that this wasn't finished when they showed this in the trailer, but I saw the actual movie and they look just like this. It looks stupid. Here's my overall view of the movie before I go into deep spoilers. It was a lot. It was a lot. I think that there was just an inundation of too much information and too much stuff, and funny enough, not enough focus on the dinosaurs. I think people misunderstand. I heard people on forums saying, well, people don't know what they want. You say you want too much dinosaurs, and when you get too much dinosaurs, you don't get enough. No. What people mean is that when they want dinosaurs, or a lot of dinosaurs, they don't literally mean, hey, every 5 seconds throw a different dinosaur at the screen killing people. That's not what they mean. They mean to put more focus on the dinosaurs that are there. If you want a great example of this, just look at the original movie. The only dinosaurs that we had that were issues in the first movie were the T-Rex, the Velociraptors, and the Dilophosaurus. The Dilophosaurus wasn't even really in the equation because it was only one person that had to deal with that. And what you see what they did there, one person, a different character, deals with a different thing. The different characters deal with other dinosaurs. They don't have the same character having 6 different experiences. It was just too much. They took established characters and threw them in every single situation you can think of in one movie. And it became like really, really cheesy and corny. The movements of the dinosaurs a lot were too fast. The motivations for the dinosaurs were very odd. Like the motivations for the first movie made sense. These dinosaurs are creatures that are just repressed and they get out and now they're hunting and probably getting back revenge on the humans. The second one, they're territorial. You had the T-Rex parents and the raptors that were territorial. Things were going inside their territory. The raptors didn't come out and just decide, you know what, we're just gonna kill these things because yay, they're there, let's just kill them even though we just ate. In the third movie, the velociraptors had a motivation. The humans stole their eggs. They didn't come after those humans and were like, let's just hunt the humans for no reason. The humans stole their eggs, so they're like, we're gonna hunt you to the ends of the earth until you give us back our fucking children. That was their motivation. And that made it terrifying because now it's like, oh shit, you pissed off these creatures that are so freaking intelligent. Now they did kind of mess that up with the Spinosaurus because this dinosaur just followed them to the ends of the earth because reasons. For some reason, it was hell-bent on catching these human beings when there were other dinosaurs that were slower moving in the area, and it decided, you know what, I'm going to make it my life's mission to catch those humans, almost like it had a vendetta against them, which is why when I did my POV story, I wanted to make it a little different, and it was something personal for the Spinosaurus, because that's the only thing that makes sense. In Jurassic Park 3, the Pteranodons were attacking the humans, and I always imagined the reason why they were doing this is because most of them were trapped inside of this aviary, so they were starving, and they literally have to take any opportunity whatsoever when something comes inside there to eat whatever it is. They have babies to feed, so it made sense that these creatures would be after them because they're starving and they need to eat. And most of them are not going to be smart enough to know how to get out of the aviary. But in this case, it's like every carnivore is like, let me go after it. Even there's a scene with a dinosaur that's not a carnivore, and it's going after these people. And it could have made sense because it's territorial. I would have watched a whole movie just on that, or at least that being one of the creatures that was hunting these people down, because it seemed as though that creature was blind or didn't know what was going on, and it was like a hippo. And the way that hippos behave, very, very aggressive and territorial, that would have made sense. All right, let's go into the spoiler territory because I gotta tell you guys why I was kind of upset. First of all, they're just showing way too much variety all at once. You're left like, what in the hell is going on? You know, Fallen Kingdom was, you know, a bag of chips in and of itself, but at least for the most part, like, no, I can't even say that. No, Fallen Kingdom was, at least when they got to the mansion, the Indoraptor became the focus, sort of. But in this movie, it's like everything is the focus. Everywhere you go, you turn around the corner, there's a different dinosaur that wants to kill you. Turn around, there's a different dinosaur that wants to kill you. And the sauropods are just these gentle giants that even though they're scared, they never lash out. I would have been very excited to see a sauropod been like, don't touch me, you're coming too close, and use its tail and whip someone in half. I mean, that would have been great. You know what I mean? But no, they don't do that. And then there's locusts. The reason why it sounds like I'm rambling and I'm all over the place is because the movie was all over the place. Like, I can tell you in linear fashion what happened with the other Jurassic Park movies, specifically the first one to the second one, because it's linear. This is just, we're gonna go into Malta, we're gonna go into this country, and then this dinosaur is here, and then there's a dinosaur underground thing, and now we gotta, the raptor's kidnapped, oh, the human's kidnapped, oh, she's a clone, well, we gotta use her. Now Dr. Henry Wu, he was crazy and mad scientist, now he's all of a sudden very caring and sorry, and it's like, what is happening? What was the whole... I don't even understand what happened in this movie. It felt like everyone wrote a script, like each one of these characters wrote a script, and they're like, this is how I see it going down. And they all threw and tossed their scripts in the middle of the table, and then the directors were like, I'm gonna take a little bit from each of these, and we're just gonna throw all of it together. Let's make a toss salad to end with a bang. And it was just way too chaotic, way too much going on. I was very disappointed, and I feel like at this point in time, even though it's fresh, I just came home from the movie theaters, I can't properly even process what happened. Like, my mind, it feels like someone just threw a whole bunch of different items in the air that have no relationship to each other, like puzzles, and they're like, all right, fit those together, and you're like, what, why? But anyway, let's try to go through the plot. So for those of you probably who haven't watched and you don't want to spend your money on a ticket, so basically what's happening is dinosaurs are free. We have black markets now, just like I had theorized. that people are now living with dinosaurs because, you know, in this world, apparently all the weaponry and technology that we have can't adequately get rid of them, but people want them because they're a commodity, right? I understand that. So Blue is still by the Velociraptor from Jurassic World. She is still there, and she ends up having a baby via parthenogenesis, just like I said, because she has that monitor lizard DNA inside of her, and that's exactly the kind of creature that recreates a clone or a version of itself without needing to mate. So I was right about that. Peter Quill, sorry, Star-Lord, god damn it. Frick is his name? Alan Grant. Not Alan Grant. God damn it. What's his name? Oh my god. See, this is how information overload I am right now. Wow, I really forgot it. Owen Grady. Owen Grady. Yes, that's his name. Jesus. My brain is so full right now. Owen Grady and Claire are living together in some place in Nevada. I believe it's Nevada. They're out in a little forest cabin, and they're taking care of Maisie because if anyone finds out where she is, they're gonna take her back because technically she's a process of a product of InGen. I think Biosyn bought them out, which is the enemy company. Blue brings her new baby by, and they're like, oh my god, that's impossible. Blue can have a baby by herself. Honestly, I don't know, like, the little girl was annoying in Fallen Kingdom, but at least, like, okay, she's a kid in a Jurassic Park movie. In this movie, she was a straight up bitch. I don't know what was going on. I understand the reason for her frustration, but the shit she says, it just makes her character like, ew, I hope you get caught and something happens to you. Because Claire and them are like, look, it's dangerous. I understand that you want to get free, but people are literally right now looking for you. And I understand it's been like some years or whatever, but they could have thought of something better. I don't know, like maybe cut and dye her hair. Why would you leave her hair of the same color? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things you could do. Cut and dye her hair, different color, so she looks different. Make her look like a boy. Have her dress a certain way. Be like, honey, if you're gonna go out into town, because you're gonna do whatever you want anyway, at least wear a disguise. This bitch knows that people are looking for her and what these people are capable of, but she's like, let me just go out with my full face and hair and everything and not care. So, of course, she gets caught by these people, these poachers who also work for Bison, and Blue's baby also gets caught. They get caught at the same time because these people were looking for both of them because, I guess, whatever, they found out Blue had a baby. So Blue gets caught, the Blue's baby gets caught, and then Blue comes back and she's mad at Owen and she's like, my baby, and Owen's like, I'm gonna get her. They took her child too. Owen goes on a journey to go back and get their girl and also to bring back the little baby Velociraptor. At the same time, Laura Dern's Ellie Sattler finds Alan Grant, who's still digging up dinosaurs. I don't know why, because there's no money in it, so why would you, whatever. So she's like, come with me. Biosyn's up to some weird shit. And Biosyn created these genetically engineered prehistoric looking locusts that are super huge that are eating all the crops that are not made with Biosyn seeds. So they're specifically strong-arming people into buying their product and basically making the citizens dependent on them to provide them with things. And so they can make money off of it and have control over the whole world, which is not very far from what our government's doing too. Anyway, Ellie Sattler, this is her line of business now. She's no longer married. All her kids are grown up. She looks rough. But, you know, her personality is a lot different than it was in the first movie. She's a lot more cocky, and for some reason it doesn't become her. She's not humble anymore, and I guess that makes sense because she spent most of her life after the divorce and everything doing her own thing and being a boss or whatever. But I fell in love with her character because she was still badass and confident, but not an asshole and annoying, and for some reason she just comes off like that. As a matter of fact, funny enough, she and Claire switched personalities. From the Jurassic World movie, Claire was the one that was annoying, and now Claire is basically the equivalent of Ellie Sattler in this movie, and Ellie Sattler's Claire. It's freaking weird. And then the forced thing with her and Alan, spoiler, they get back together because, you know, Jurassic Park movies always have to end with romance, getting back together with people, even though they haven't seen each other forever, and they just like, oh, let's just kiss right after danger because, you know, it just felt so forced. No, I would not have gone straight into that because near the end of the movie, you have these two old people and it's just weird. It's just weird, bro. Anyway, they get it, and Ian Malcolm and all of them end up hooking up, and they find each other again. And then everywhere they go, like when they were split up momentarily, all going and doing their own thing, different dinosaurs were attacking each and every one of them. There's no downtime. There's no downtime whatsoever. It's just one thing after the next, 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 and it's just ridiculous. It is so annoying that throughout the entire movie, Every single one of these characters are in situations where dinosaurs should have killed them, and nobody walks out scathed at all. No scratches. I think maybe Alan has like a little tiny scratch on his face, which is so freaking weird that none of them have any injury. The only injury that one has that you can say is an actual injury is when Owen got scratched on his hand when Blue was angry, and she was like, my baby's gone, scritch, and then he has like a little scratch on his palm. And that's it. And I find that so hard to believe that these old-ass people go back there and they're running, and people are falling backwards, and nothing. I actually expected one of the main characters to die, because that would have added some stakes to the movie, you know? And, like, to sacrifice themselves or give them a send-off or something. And nothing. I love Alan Grant's character. He was my favorite human character of the Jurassic Park franchise, but in this movie, I don't even understand why he was there. There was really no reason for him or for Ellie Sattler to be there other than nostalgia. And look, remember these characters, and we're gonna put them back together so they end up back together, because the last time you saw them, Ellie moved on and Alan was sad. Piggybacking off of that issue, the other issue, speaking of nostalgia, they did the same thing they did in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I have no idea why they keep doing that, and it's bringing back scenes or like different clips, but kind of a modernized version of them into the new movie. And I understand why a lot of JP fans are like, oh, it's just fan service. Maybe I'm jaded or something. It's not like Jurassic Park is the only thing that's doing it. If Jurassic Park was the only movie that was doing this, or the only franchise that was doing it, I might be a little bit more forgiving, but it's in every single franchise. And it's gotten to the point where it's so annoying. And they'll make scenes, instead of making brand new things, they'll say, hey, remember the thing with the flare? Look at Ian, he's doing it here. Oh, and we used a flare with a sauropod because waving a flare to make a sauropod move and get its attention works, because why? T-Rex, his vision was based on movement. That's why in Jurassic Park, they used the flare. Why the fuck are you using it for the sauropods? You know, just to get them to move. Oh, remember the Barbasol can? Remember Dachshund? He was the one that met with Nedry. So we're gonna kill him exactly the same way Nedry died, but there's gonna be more than one Dilophosaurus now, and he's gonna drop his Barbasol can the same way that Nedry dropped the Barbasol can. Remember when Ellie Sattler was in the control room and she was in a walkie-talkie and Ian and John Hammond were instructing her as to what to do to turn something back on or off? Oh, she's gonna do that here too, and it's just like, come on, really, bro? Same thing with the other previous movies. Remember when the T-Rex teamed up with this other dinosaur to take care of this other dinosaur that she can't beat by herself, and then it just died? And it gets kind of old and washed out. So there was that. And then these freaking locusts, they end up taking a sample of the locusts because Ellie's whole thing of going to Bison was that she wanted to prove that Bison was corrupt and it was doing this stuff. And this guy, the guy from Archive 81 or 51, whatever, I love his character. He's very sweet, and every time I see him on screen, he's so warm. His name is Ramsey in the movie, and I really like his character. I fell in love with him when I saw Archive 81. And sorry if it's the wrong title, but when I saw him, I instantly knew he was good, and I expected him to have a bigger role than just helping them or giving exposition. He didn't. It's just, he's there just to help the main characters who, you know, nothing ever happens. Nothing happened to him either. Like, it would have been great if we had another Eddie Carr situation. If that character had died trying to save them, that would have been memorable to me, because I would have been like, fuck you guys. That's such a sweet character. How can you do that to him? Like, that would have sold it for me. It's one of the reasons why I appreciate Jurassic Park 2: The Lost World, because I loved Eddie Carr's character. I remember his name because of his character. He was so sweet, and he died saving Ian and Sarah Harding and all the others. He sacrificed himself, and I will never forget his character for that. The same thing with Udesky. Udesky didn't sacrifice himself, but he was such an adorable and personable character that you don't want anything to happen to him. You actually care about him. So when something does happen to him, you're like, no, save him. And then he dies like that. You're like, oh shit, what? and I remember his character because of that. This, everybody is safe. Nobody dies. It's all people that you don't know, you don't care about. It's like, okay, there's dinosaurs everywhere. Everywhere you turn around, there's dinosaurs attacking people. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets a scratch, even though 2 of the characters literally crashed in a plane. And okay, whatever. I will say that the Atrociraptor chase was really good. I would have liked it if Owen got hurt. I would have liked it if he got hurt and he was bleeding out his freaking side. I'm sorry, I sound morbid, and I'm like this. I'm very dark sometimes with my characters. Seriously, there should be some stakes. At least in Fallen Kingdom, when Claire was being chased by Ripper, he stuck a claw through her and she was screaming in pain. There was stakes. There's like, oh shoot, these characters can be hurt. There's one scene that I absolutely love. The scene I was talking about earlier, and I wouldn't tell you what it was. It's the one with the Therizinosaurus. And that dinosaur, oh my god, it's like a completely different person directed that scene. And it was like a trailer for another movie that I absolutely want to see. It doesn't feel like it belonged in this movie because it was so well done. Claire basically ejects from the plane that her and Owen Grady and Kayla is on. And he's like, you have to go find her. You have to go find her daughter. And they're going down with the plane because there's not enough parachutes or whatever. So Claire ends up in a forest. When we go back to her, she's in this forest and she's hanging inside the plane chair, still attached by the parachute that is kind of caught up in the branches. And she's hanging there. And you hear something call. The forest is really quiet, and then you hear something cry out, and then you're like, what the frick is that? And then you see this thing come behind her, and it just turns around with its long neck, and you're like, oh shit. And apparently it's blind. I think the Therizinosaurus in the movie is blind, because when it sees her, it doesn't really see her, and it hears something else. There's a deer in the distance, which the deer would have, I don't know why they make it like the deer would have actually jumped away, but whatever. The deer's stupid. Natural selection at its finest. So the Therizinosaurus goes up to the deer, and it's like, what this? And the deer is just sitting there like, I don't see you, even though I'm like, you know, evolved as the kind of prey that hears someone breathing in the woods and runs away if it feels like something's near. But a big ass, fuzzy ass dinosaur thing that I've never seen before. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, let's say the deer doesn't have hearing or it doesn't have any peripheral vision. This thing comes up to it, and I swear to goodness, because it's in the way, the Therizinosaurus just swipes it with its claws and kills it. And the moment it does that, Claire's like, oh shit. And then the thing where it's like creeping up on her, the fact that it's blind, it felt like they took that out of Don't Breathe, the movie. Because I swear, the thing is probably blind, and it can detect her presence or anything's presence by smell and sound. And the way it's coming up to her is she's trying to get into the water. She can't hurry, because if she does, she'll give away her position. Then it tries to scare her while she's under the water to see if it will scare her into moving. Like, that should have been its own movie! Her being hunted by this thing. Oh my god, like, or at least a big segment of one of the movies. I was so disappointed when they did what they did at the end of the movie. This is the icing on the cake. First of all, the next thing I gotta say, what's with the locusts on fire? I mean, I don't know what these bugs are made of, or if they engineered them with some other kind of material, but from what I know, if bugs are on fire, they burn up pretty quickly. Like, they're so small. But these locusts, they break out of biosin. They're aflame. They're aflame. I'm serious. I'm sorry I'm so stuffy. It's freaking cold here. But they're aflame, and they're flying for miles while they're on fire. And nothing is happening. Okay. Anyway, then the end of the movie. The leak was right. The leak was right. Whoever's here, you knew there would be spoilers. I'm sorry to tell you this. When I read the leak, I was like, please say that's not true. I hope that this leak is someone just pulling someone's balls, because that sounds stupid. They said that the Therizinosaurus teams up with Rexy against the Giganotosaurus. I shit you not. That is exactly what happens. And it's so out of left field, and every ounce of respect and fear I felt for the Therizinosaurus just left. Because not only did the Therizinosaurus was like, oh, what is this thing? I'm gonna fight you. Go away. Rexy gets bested again. And again, the only way she can win a fight is if something's distracted that's fighting her. So she's kind of dead, like in the first pre-face segment, the 5 minutes that they showed before in theaters before as a marketing tool for this movie. But then Rexy gets up and she's like, oh, I'm alive. And then she goes after the Giganotosaurus, bites it and pushes it into the Therizinosaurus's claws, and it dies. And to add insult to injury, I'm sorry, why am I? I'm sorry. sorry. I'm trying to put on my big girl voice. After the Therizinosaurus takes its claws out of the Giganotosaurus, the T-Rex and the Therizinosaurus, they both roar in triumph together. What the fuck was this movie? Oh my god. The more I think about it, the madder I get. Oh my god, I sound like Sarah from The Land Before Time. And on top of that, it was shot in the dark. Again, if you have a battle in the previous movie that was shot in the nighttime, don't have the next movie with it shot in the nighttime so you can't see what's going on. Like the actual preface that they showed as a marketing campaign, they showed that fight in the daytime and they did this in the nighttime. Even the American Godzilla franchise got that right. They alternate with Skull Island 2014 so that you get the daytime segments and that you get nighttime segments. And even in Godzilla vs. Kong, excellent movie. They did that. The daytime segments, nighttime segments, so you can see both. You don't just shoot all of the dinosaur fights at night. It's, especially as the epic battle, when you already did it in the previous movie at night. I don't know what's happening. Okay, I will tell you something. I can't take credit for this. My partner is the one that told me this, right? He said they need to end the Jurassic Park movies. Everyone is of agreement right now. They need to end the Jurassic Park movies. They want to continue Camp Cretaceous. That makes sense, because Camp Cretaceous actually makes more sense than the movies do at this point. And I love Camp Cretaceous. It fits. You can't put a live action movie with dinosaurs and the main character's not gonna scratch. Camp Cretaceous did a better job because the characters actually got hurt. It's weird. A kid's movie, a kid's show based on the same franchise where kids are protected, you have the kids getting hurt more than the end. Okay, so whatever. But my partner's idea was they need to go back to this being a horror. They need to disconnect from the franchise Jurassic Park. Or if you're gonna have the same franchise, call it something different and make it a horror. Hell, bring James Cameron on. He said he would have made it really dark. When he's done with Avatar or whatever, bring him on. Have him make this for completely different things. Like, here's an idea. I saw the trailer for Prey, and I will be talking about that too, because people were telling me about it, and I honestly didn't know what it was about. So I watched the trailer. I'm like, why is everyone asking me to review this stupid movie? It's not even out yet. So I watched the trailer. Holy shit. Spoilers, if anyone doesn't want to know anything about it, go away. But it's a Predator franchise. It's called Prey, and it's about Native Americans having to survive the Yautja. I was like, the way that they showed that trailer, wow. Wow, I don't know if that movie's gonna be any good, but if the trailer's anything to go by, goddamn, I really want to see that. And it's a completely different setting with different people with the same kind of monster. It's kind of like a remake or a prequel. It's kind of a prequel, but you're put in a different setting where somebody else with different skill sets has to face this thing. And I think that's the problem. Someone said it very well too. You can't have dinosaurs being a disaster situation and then normalizing the disaster. Because now no one's scared of dinosaurs, especially none of your main characters are hurt. They're not killed, hurt. They're not even hurt. They're not even scathed. No one gets a leg chomped on or stepped on accidentally. No one loses a leg. Hell, you got How to Train Your Dragon with the main character having lost his leg. Really? You got How to Train Your Dragon, a family franchise that's animated, having more stakes than the Jurassic Park movies at this point, and that's saying something. Because those people have been blown fire on their faces and hair by dragons, they're still alive, but yet there's higher stakes in that animated movie or movies than there was in the franchise at this point. Dinosaurs are no longer scary. The Atrociraptor chase scene was great. The Therizinosaurus chase scene was great. It wasn't really a chase scene, it was more of a stalk scene. That should have been its own movie. There was just too much going on here, and I know I'm gonna get some people who were like, you're not a real fan, blah, blah. Well, fuck you. I really don't care what you think I am. I wouldn't care as much about what they did with this. I'd just be like, this is ass, for whatever. I wouldn't care if I wasn't an actual fan. I saw the original Jurassic Park. I grew up with that movie. And I actually like the first three movies. Yeah, the third movie was ass, but it was still more enjoyable than this. It still made more sense than this. There was still more of a motivation for what happened in that movie than there was this with their dumbass stock videos. Oh my God. Ranting aside, would I spend money on this? No, I would not spend money on this. Honestly, like I would not spend money again to see this in theaters. I would spend money to see Jurassic Park 1 in theaters again, or Jurassic Park 2, or even 3. I would not spend money to see Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the last 3 movies, I don't know what happened, but they need to let the franchise die. Or just revive it using the models and doing a dinosaur documentary or a story following along each of the dinosaurs. Or, here's another one that my partner said, do a found film. Is that what they call found film? Find films? Found film is where the whole movie's first person, like Cloverfield. Do something like that, but with dinosaurs, where you're dropped in an island and you have to escape these dinosaurs. Like, people don't even know there's dinosaurs on there. Mix Fragment with Jurassic Park and put these dinosaurs on an island that nobody knows about, that's not on the map. These people crash a plane and there's a videographer that's paid to be there because the whole thing they were gonna do was filming this person's life, and they're like, you know what, just keep it rolling because we're gonna need evidence. If we do come out of this alive, this is something that can make us rich. Just the adventure of it all using the footage. And they start to notice that there's these weird plants that grow on the island. There's just some things that are just different. The air feels different. That's another thing my partner had an issue with. He's like, how are these big ass dinosaurs and they're not struggling to breathe with there being such less oxygen for their body size, mind you, like dreadnoughtas, But anyway, imagine that setting of doing this and people trying to survive and you not seeing the dinosaurs for a while, and then you realize, oh shit, there are dinosaurs out here, but they're not normal dinosaurs. If all the predatory dinosaurs were to evolve over how many millions of years, and they just evolved completely different. Just like in the book Fragment. Really good book. If you haven't listened to that book on Audible or read it, I strongly, strongly implore you to go do so. I have read that book like 3 times. It's so good. Hell, they could have made a movie based off of the Telltale Jurassic Park game with the Troodons. Troodons were said to be thought to be more intelligent than velociraptors or dromaeosaurs, like, the regular ones we see in media. And what really terrified me about the Troodons in the Telltale series is that these creatures were not only venomous, but they laid their eggs inside human people. They paralyzed you and lay their eggs like freaking xenomorphs. Why didn't they do that? Why did they have this island? They're like, oh, they're just these dinosaurs. No, this is something else. And I think there was a section in the game when I was playing it where either the Dilos or the Velociraptors heard the clicking noises that the Troodons were making, and they hauled ass out of there. And you're like, oh shit, the most dangerous and most intelligent dinosaurs of the series are afraid of whatever that was? What the frick are those? And for the most of the game, you didn't know what they were. You had no idea what they were. And make a movie based on that. But instead we get this Indiana Jones adventure. And the other thing that really irked me, Owen Grady doing his stupid hand thing that he did with Blue. He trained the raptors how to respond to that, right? But with every single dinosaur he comes across, he does that and it works. The dinosaurs literally, there's a time when Owen is just literally standing there looking at the Carnotaurus and I think it was a Baryonyx. There was another dinosaur there. And they literally just look at him. He puts his hand up and they're like, oh no, we have to pause because he told us to. It's like he has the ability to stop time and he puts his hand up. And there's this cringy ass scene at the end when Alan Grant joins in with Maisie and they all put their hands up so they can catch Blue's baby and that he can shoot the tranquilizer and it works. Oh my god, it's so corny. Like, it was really bad. Like, every time I find myself starting to kind of enjoy it, the movie does something that makes me want to slap everyone on the screen. It's so stupid. Here's what would have made a better ending, especially the one with the T-Rex. Later, it showed that Rexy sees 2 other T-Rexes, and I guess they become friends or whatever. Instead of her teaming up with a completely different species of dinosaurs, why didn't you have those 2 T-Rex pop out of the woods and help Rexy and have 3 T-Rexes try to tear apart the Giganotosaurus? Honestly, that would have made for a better movie. Watching 3 Tyrannosaurus Rex team up and tear the Giganotosaurus to shreds. And it would have been a surprise because like, oh, Rexy's not alone, she has friends? Really? Didn't know that. You see Rexy, like, just lying there as the Giganotosaurus is about to roar because, oh, I triumphed over her. And then out of the shadows, like in Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, you see 2 other T-Rexes come from out of the dark, like they did in Jurassic Park 2. And they're like, who are you talking to? What are you doing with Rexy? And then they start fighting the Giganotosaurus. That would have made for a better ending because I don't think anybody would have seen that coming. Words can't describe how I feel right now. And then all of a sudden, like, Maisie's mother is the one that created her. It wasn't Benjamin Lockwood, and she was pregnant, and she wanted to help. And all of a sudden, human cloning is totally okay now because no, only that, but from out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Dr. Wu is no longer the greatest scientist. They had to take it from the Asian man. I don't know what it is, but they're like, nope, no, no, give it to the lady. Now all of a sudden, this mysterious woman who we've never heard of till now is loads better than Doctor Who and everybody else on the face of the earth. Like, she's light years ahead of her time. And it's like, what? Where did that come from all of a sudden? Like, the one Asian representation character you have in there, that instead of redeeming him and then making him use his work for good, oh, well, no, actually, he's not even all that. There's somebody even smarter than him. And while that's completely plausible that there's always somebody who's better than the other person, she just came out of fucking nowhere. Just surprise! Not only did he have a daughter, and she didn't actually die in a car crash, but she gave birth to Maisie. She wasn't cloned like the other dinosaurs. They're not just like Maisie. Maisie had a mother, see? And her mother was a super genius. And it's like, where did all of that come from then? Why are we just hearing about this now? It's like they threw that in at the end of the story. I don't know, take that away from Dr. Wu or something. Like, even still, I'm not even arguing that, because his character having that complete 180 feels like we missed a lot. It feels like there should have been some kind of lead up to that. As soon as we see him, he feels horrible, but he didn't feel horrible about the last 5 movies. We saw him at the end of Fallen Kingdom. Did it look like he was regretting whatever happened? No, he's been doing this since Jurassic Park. After Jurassic Park, now all of a sudden he has a change of heart and he's so meek and sweet and feels bad. Give me a break. It's just weird, bro. It's just weird. It's just weird. This whole thing should not have been made. This whole thing needs to go back to the drawing board. If this is the way they're gonna end out the franchise, I'm very disappointed, and I wasn't even expecting much, to be honest. Anyways, that's my honest review. The things I do like about the movie should have been their own movie. But you know what? Ian Malcolm and Kayla girl, they were wonderful. Wonderful characters. Love seeing them on screen. Henry Wu all of a sudden is like, oh my god, I made a big mistake. He used to have so much hubris, and all of a sudden he's the victim? Really, bro? So all the past 5 movies where he was a complete asshole and just strung out on his own hubris, all of a sudden he's a meek and a humble soul who wants to correct his mistake? Give me a fucking break.